So what I wanted to do is a little bit of porcupine quill work into some veg tan leather. Now a lot of the quill work, a lot of the tutorials you'll see on YouTube and in books talk about sewing buckskin or moose hide, which tends to be a lot softer. It's not as thick as this veg tan is. So I think I've come up with a pretty good compromise, and essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this piece of veg tan like I would treat a piece of birch bark or something else that porcupine quill could be used in. I've got a simple design worked out, and you can see through here I've got some holes punched in, and what I'll do is I'll put the quills in through there, fasten them on the back with a little bit of super glue. I think it'll look pretty good. The other thing I did, because I'm not sure how durable quills are, is I've just taken a gouge, a little wood gouge, and done a slight recess anywhere there's going to be a quill, and that way the quill will sit down in, and I'm hoping it'll let it last a little bit longer. So I've got, of course, going to need a scratch awl or leather punch. I've got a little piece of deer antler that's wedged up the top and rounded off. I'll use this to flatten the quills. A little bit of super glue, and then Swiss Army knife, because that's what I had handy. Alright, well, I'm going to start out by picking one of my quills. Now, I left the barbs on them, the points on them. If you're careful with them, they won't get you. But we'll start by clipping the barb off. And I'm also going to just kind of angle this cut a little bit so it's a little bit like a wedge. And I'm going to cut this end off also. And this little pointy end is the end that sticks into the porcupine itself. Okay. Now for the first piece, I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to push this through the hole. And then I'm going to bend and go down through the next one. This is where it gets a little weird, so back to the Swiss Army knife. And I'm going to grab that little in there with the tweezers. Kind of pull it through. I may have to go to thinner porcupine quills. Now, I forgot to flatten this one. Shame on me, but I'll make sure I flatten the rest of them going forward. So I'm going to take my super glue, and I'm just going to get back underneath this, just a skosh, and just put a tiny drop of super glue down in there, and we'll pull this back tight. Okay, so what we have left are these two little tabs right here. And so what I'm going to do is just going to fold it over. I'm going to give it a snip. Fold it over, a little drop of super glue. Top. A little bit on the leather right underneath it. I'll take my scratch my awl, and we'll just, doesn't have to be perfect, we'll just push that down and just hold it for a few seconds and wait for the glue to catch it. The nice thing that I like about these quills is that they really do lay nice and flat. But now that's all nice and flat there, and we have our first piece in. Let's move over here, you can see it. Really stands out nice against that brown dye. So now I'll do a couple more pieces. Putting the quills, I'm poking them through. Too close. And I've left the barbs actually on them to do this because it makes it a lot easier to go through the holes. It's like, you know, threading a needle. And then here's the progress we're at so far. It's a very simple geometric pattern. Okay, I got all the quill work in. I've got all the ends clipped and super glued. So now what we're left is this pattern.